Right, let's talk about Canada. It's a country that's often seen as friendly, peaceful, and maybe a little obsessed with hockey and maple syrup. But beneath that polite exterior, Canada plays a surprisingly big role on the world stage, especially when it comes to global security. The country famous for maple syrup and politeness is also a founding member of NATO, one of the world's most important military alliances. When NATO was created in 1949, Canada was right there at the table, helping to shape the rules and vision for a safer, more stable world. It wasn't just about military power, it was about building trust and cooperation between countries that had just survived the devastation of World War II. NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is like a global neighborhood watch, except instead of nosy neighbors, it's countries promising to defend each other if attacked. Think of it as a security blanket for its members, stretching across North America and Europe, designed to keep everyone safe from outside threats. Article 5 is the heart of NATO. An attack on one is an attack on all. This means if any member is threatened, the others are obligated to come to their defense. It's a powerful promise, and it's only been invoked once, after the September 11th attacks in 2001. Canada's been in this club since day one, and its security is deeply tied to the United States, especially through NORAD, their joint aerospace defense. NORAD means Canadian and American forces literally work side by side, tracking everything from Russian bombers to stray weather balloons over the Arctic. For over 75 years, Canada has enjoyed the protection and stability that comes with this alliance. It's allowed Canada to punch above its weight in global affairs, contributing to peacekeeping missions and international security efforts far from home. But times change. The Cold War is over, and new threats and tensions have emerged. Cyber attacks, terrorism, and unpredictable global politics mean that NATO's job is more complicated than ever. The US is increasingly frustrated with allies not spending enough on defense, Canada included. Washington wants its partners to pay their fair share, arguing that security isn't free and everyone needs to contribute more. It's like one roommate paying most of the rent and getting annoyed at the others. The tension is real, and it's putting pressure on Canada to step up its game, both financially and militarily. This has put Canada in a tough spot, loyal to the alliance, but facing pressure to do more. Politicians in Ottawa are debating how to balance domestic priorities with international commitments, and the public is starting to ask tough questions about what Canada really gets out of NATO. Now, a provocative question is being whispered in Ottawa. What if Canada left its defense pact with the US and struck a new deal with Europe? Could Canada find a new security partner across the Atlantic, or would it be risking everything it's built over decades? This isn't just idle speculation, it would be a seismic shift with huge consequences for Canada and the world. Such a move would shake up the balance of power in the West and force everyone to rethink what security really means in the 21st century. Could Canada really saw its house in half and float it across the Atlantic? It sounds wild, but in a world where alliances are shifting and old certainties are fading, nothing is off the table. Let's find out what's at stake. Why would Canada even consider such a drastic move? The answer isn't as simple as dollars and cents. It's a question that goes to the heart of what kind of country Canada wants to be in a rapidly changing world. Years of US pressure to spend more on defense have left Canada feeling like a freeloader at the NATO table. The Americans have been vocal, and so have other allies, about Canada not pulling its weight. The official NATO target is 2% of GDP, but Canada has rarely hit that mark. For decades, it's hovered well below, sparking criticism and awkward conversations at every summit. But it's not just about money, it's about values and sovereignty. Many Canadians worry that ramping up military spending could mean sacrificing the country's independent voice on the world stage. The US political climate is unpredictable, making Canada uneasy about relying so heavily on its southern neighbor. With every election, the rules of the game seem to change, and that uncertainty is unsettling. Canada's strategic interests, like the Arctic and European stability, don't always align with America's focus on Asia. The melting Arctic is opening new frontiers, and Canada wants a bigger say in what happens there. As the US looks west, Canada feels left, holding the fort in the north. The vast icy expanse is both a point of pride and a source of anxiety for Canadian leaders. Prime Minister Carney's government has pledged to double defense spending by 2035, but the real debate is, Should that money be spent to please Washington or to chart a new, more independent path that reflects Canadian priorities? The question isn't whether to spend more, but how, and with whom. Should Canada deepen ties with Europe, invest in its own Arctic defense, or look for new partners in Asia and beyond? Is Canada destined to be America's junior partner forever, or is it time to seek new friends and redefine its role in the world? The identity crisis is real. For Canadians, the choices made now will shape not just defense policy, but the very soul of the nation for generations to come. The idea of Canada breaking defense ties with the US is radical. The first casualty? NORAD, the joint command that defends North American airspace. Untangling it would be a logistical nightmare, leaving both countries vulnerable. Canada would need to build its own surveillance and command systems from scratch. Generations of military cooperation would be severed overnight. The political fallout would be severe. Washington would see it as betrayal, risking economic retaliation and a souring of the world's largest trading relationship. The US might even militarize the border, turning a symbol of peace into a tense frontier. That's why for now this debate is mostly hypothetical. Former officials warn that Europe may not be able or willing to fill the security gap left by the US. The gamble trading a known, if imperfect, partnership for an uncertain future. The whispers of divorce are growing, but the risks are daunting. If Canada took the leap, what would a new alliance look like? The vision, a formal defense pact with the European Union or key European powers. Canada would pivot east, aligning its military with Brussels instead of Washington. This would mean buying European equipment, joining EU-led missions, and overhauling military training and culture. The idea is appealing. Shared values, more equal partnership. But Europe's military capabilities are fragmented and still rely heavily on US support. Could Europe really defend Canada in a crisis? Would they even try? The dream is bold, but the practicalities are overwhelming. What could Canada gain by switching alliances? Strategic autonomy, freedom to pursue its own interests, not just follow Washington's lead. Closer defense ties with Europe could boost Canada's tech and manufacturing sectors and deepen trade with the EU. Politically, to set a pact with stable European democracies might offer more predictability than the US's political swings. Canada could become a bigger player, a bridge between continents, not just America's junior partner. It's a chance to shape priorities, especially in the Arctic, but is it worth the risk? For every potential gain, the risks Canada faces are even greater, risks that could reshape the country's future in ways few have truly considered. The biggest loss? The US security guarantee, a shield that has protected Canada for generations, often taken for granted but absolutely vital. Geography matters. Canada shares the world's longest undefended border with the globe's top military power, a fact that has shaped its peace and prosperity. No one would dare attack Canada with the US as its shield. That deterrence is priceless, and losing it would make Canada far more vulnerable overnight. Giving that up is like cancelling your home insurance out of spite, except the stakes are national security, not just property. The economic fallout could be catastrophic. 3/4 of Canada's exports go to the US, fueling millions of Canadian jobs and entire industries. A defense split could trigger tariffs, border slowdowns, and supply chain chaos. Everyday goods could become scarce or more expensive, impacting families and businesses alike. Canada also relies on US intelligence, satellite data, and military support, resources that are critical for everything from disaster response to national defense. In a crisis, help from Europe would be an ocean away, and transatlantic support can't match the immediacy or scale of American assistance. Canada could end up isolated, alienating its old ally without securing a new one, left to face threats alone in a dangerous world. Europe might hesitate to commit, wary of provoking the US and reluctant to take on new security burdens so far from home. Canada risks being left in a strategic no-man's land, neither fully protected nor truly independent. The dream of independence could quickly turn into a nightmare of vulnerability, with Canada exposed to new dangers and uncertainty. Sometimes the grass isn't greener, it's just further away, and the journey to reach it may cost more than anyone ever imagined. Canada's move would send shockwaves, especially in the US. Washington would see it as a stunning betrayal. likely responding with anger and suspicion. The border could become militarized, and cooperation would give way to tension. The US would shoulder all of North America's defense and might act more aggressively in the Arctic. For Europe, it's a double-edged sword, a diplomatic win, but a risky challenge to US leadership. European leaders would be torn, embrace Canada and risk angering Washington, or keep their distance. Many would hesitate, fearing the collapse of NATO and American retaliation. Canada might find Europe happy to be a friend, but not eager to be the other woman in a North American divorce. The special relationship with the US would be dead, replaced by cold coexistence. Europe would gain a partner, but at what cost? Canada could end up caught between two worlds, trusted by neither. A Canadian alliance shift would shake the global security order. NATO could weaken or even collapse, emboldening Russia and China. A fractured West would struggle to present a united front against expansionist rivals. The idea of collective security would be in jeopardy. If Canada can walk away, who's next? The world could slide back into great power rivalries and unpredictable alliances. Middle powers like Canada might find themselves more vulnerable, not less. The dream of autonomy could become a nightmare of isolation. Sometimes trying to control your destiny means losing it entirely. So, should Canada actually do it? The answer, a resounding no. Leaving the US and NATO would be a leap into the unknown, risking economic ruin and military vulnerability. The smarter path is to reform alliances from within, meet defense spending targets, invest in capabilities, and become a stronger partner. Canada's strength is in managing complex relationships, not severing them. Deepen ties with Europe, but don't abandon the US or NATO. Independence is important, but not at the cost of security and prosperity. Canada should stay in the family and help make it stronger.